Have you ever felt stuck? Just frozen by the fear of making the wrong move? Well, today, we're going to talk about a really powerful mental shift that's all about getting you unstuck and moving forward with real confidence.
Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. This little voice in our head, it asks all these questions, and they feel so responsible, right? But really, they're the very chains that keep us from ever taking action on the things we care about most. And this gets right to the heart of it all. See, we're wired to look for certainty, for guarantees. But the real world, it just doesn't work that way. It operates on odds, on probabilities. And once you really, truly get that, everything changes.
So let's dive into this idea of the certainty trap. Let's figure out why so many of us get paralyzed before we even start.
The issue for most people isn't a lack of skill or talent. It's a lack of this thing right here, mental flexibility. We've basically been trained our whole lives to believe that if we don't have the perfect answer, we shouldn't act at all.
And that leads us to ask this fundamentally broken question: will this work for sure? A question like that, it has no answer. It just keeps us stuck, waiting for a guarantee that is never, ever going to show up.
But here's the reframe. This is the question that unlocks everything. It shifts your focus away from this impossible need for certainty and toward the practical, powerful process of just improving your odds.
Now let's build on that, because waiting around for that perfect moment, for that absolute guarantee, it comes with a seriously high cost. Just think about it for a second. The biggest, most important decisions of your life. Did you have a 100% ironclad guarantee for any of them? No way. Of course not. You took a leap. You were already thinking in probabilities. You just might not have called it that. Let that one sink in. It's not actually failing that stops most of us. It's the paralyzing demand for certainty that keeps us from ever even trying in the first place. This is what keeps amazing ideas locked away forever. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the one side, you've got the certainty mindset. It's all about waiting, perfection, and fear. On the other, the probability mindset, acting, making progress, and seeing opportunity everywhere. Which one of those feels more powerful to you?
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. Now for the good stuff, the solution. This is the mindset that separates the people who do things from the people who just wait.
This is so key. Successful people, entrepreneurs, athletes, creators, they don't sit around waiting for some perfect, guaranteed path to appear. No, they just look for a good enough path, any step that gets them moving forward. It's all about momentum.
We love to look at successful people and just call them lucky, but that totally misunderstands how it works. Success is almost never about one lucky break. It's the result of a deliberate, relentless process of tilting the odds in their favor, day in and day out.
So how do you actually do that? Well, the great news is it's not some big mystery. It's actually a system, a predictable system that anyone can use.
Think of it like you're tuning a machine. You've got these different levers you can pull. You can improve your habits, how you learn, the environment you're in, or just your mindset. Each little tweak starts to shift the probabilities in your favor.
And here's the simple, but honestly profound math behind it all. You don't need some massive leap. All you need is a series of small, positive shifts. And over time, those tiny little improvements compound into huge changes in your results.
This is so important. We get overwhelmed because we think we need to stage this massive, overnight transformation to get what we want. But that's not how it works at all. You just need to tilt it. I love this word. It's not about a revolution. It's just about a slight, consistent adjustment in your direction. That tiny tilt is what changes your entire trajectory. And this visualizes it perfectly. Look at that tiny little slice. That 1% improvement, reading for just 10 minutes, sending one email, doing one small habit. It seems like nothing, but you do that consistently, and that 1% is what tilts the entire game. All right, let's wrap this up by turning all this theory into a super simple, actionable tool that you can start using, like right now. Here it is, your new two-step rule. For any decision you're facing, just run it through this little filter. First, ask yourself, what's the probability this helps me? And then, step 2, the action step. How can I increase that probability by just 1% today? And when you start living this way, the change is almost immediate. You feel lighter. The pressure to be perfect just evaporates. You start seeing options instead of obstacles. And fear? Well, fear just doesn't get to be in the driver's seat anymore. This reframes failure completely.
It's no longer this big, scary judgment on who you are. It's just a data point, a low probability outcome. And what do you do with data? You learn from it, you adjust, and you try again.
And really, that's the ultimate goal. When you stop chasing the illusion of certainty and start playing the game of probability, the world stops feeling like a test you might fail. Instead, it becomes a playground of possibilities, just waiting for you to get out there and explore.